call the regular board meeting to order. All members of the board are present except board members Bleckinger and Buscalia, and ex officio student board members Karkanis, Maurice, and Purva. Dr. Singh, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I don't know. I can find out. Okay. Thank you.
May I have a motion to recess into executive session to discuss employment matters relating to particular persons? Dr. Spicer, Mr. Bulin, all in favor? Motion carries unanimously. I call the regular board meeting to order. All board members are present except board members Bleckinger and Buscalia. Good evening and welcome to all in attendance. Please be advised that in the event of a fire emergency and an evacuation should be necessary, an alarm will sound. Please note all marked emergency exits and evacuate well away from the building. At this time, we request that everyone turn their cell phones and other electronic devices to silent. Thank you. We are now on item 3. Dr. Brown Hall, I turn it over to you for the school and district spotlights.
Thank you very much, Board President. This is truly one of the highlights of our board meeting. Throughout the course of his career, Bills quarterback Josh Allen has inspired those in our community and around the world to be good and to do good. Following his MVP award, that message resonated within the halls of Williamsville North, where student council leaders are working to spread kindness throughout the school with their Be Good, Do Good campaign. Please welcome North Principal Andrew Bowen, student council co-advisors Aaron Devontier and Patty Hooper, along with the student council members to share more.
Good evening. Thank you very much, right?
Very nice. Oh.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to spotlight North High School. Our student council advisors have done an incredible job planning many activities to build community at North High School. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Hooper and Mrs. Daventier to tell you more about it.
Great.
I'm Patty Hooper, one of the co-advisors for Student Council, and I think, you know, we all love Josh Allen, and
Indeed.
But his MVP speech really struck a chord. And when Aaron and I took over Student Council, this is our first year as advisors, we wanted to have building community be part of everything we do throughout the year. So our student leaders we brought the idea of this campaign to kind of encourage good behavior, kindness, recognizing kindness within the community, and wanting kids to feel good about belonging at North and being proud to be Spartans.
Yeah, I love the school that we teach at. The kids are amazing, and we just wanted to do something that every month we recognize the goodness that is in our school. So every month we have a different thing. Well, first of all, we have a little fanny pack that teachers wear with little tokens in
Not a
that
fanny pack.
when they're caught doing something good, they get a token that is good to be used at the school store or our hotspot that we have. And now every month we're trying to partner with different clubs too. Like, so for our next one, we are helping out with the Polar Plunge and doing a gingerbread house contest, and the proceeds from that is going to go towards the Polar Plunge. And each month we're looking to do something to help out within our school and show that these kids are amazing. So we'll let them talk a little bit more.
Hi, I'm Alina. First off, thank you so much for having us today. Throughout the start of school, the Be Good, Do Good campaign has not only brought everyone together, but has cultivated a better sense of community
Awesome.
that everyone has been buying into. We have done various activities throughout the start of school, and currently we have been collecting cans to make turkey dinners for people who are less fortunate.
Hi, I'm Sri Dudi. I really, really love being part of Be Good, Do Good. I have helped plan one of my favorite actually things that we've done is our pumpkin kind of scavenger hunt, you would call, during October, where we put around pumpkins with positive messages, and it was just kind of a fun way to help our school feel more inclusive and, like Alina said, kind of cultivate a sense of almost identity and inclusivity in North.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Please enjoy this video. Thank you.
We wanted to start a new campaign in the school that promoted inclusivity and kindness, which is our Be Good, Do Good campaign. Our first Be Good, Do Good meeting, it was a couple of people from executive board and our student council officers.
We were basing it off of Josh Allen and what he said in his speech, and just how it inspires people to do more good in their community, and we were trying to spread that around North. It kind of makes a mentorship for the freshmen whenever the seniors interact with them. It really helps them prepare for when they're older, because teamwork is something that's involved in almost everything.
Where do you think we should start?
For October, we put paper pumpkins around that had tasks to do around the school. For example, put a sticky note on a locker that had an encouraging message, or say hi to someone new. That was a really big success. We had so many people being so kind. I had actually a couple of my friends telling me hey, I actually met someone really cool today. I didn't know them before, but this campaign really helped me make a new friend.
For November, we are going to do a food collection and make Thanksgiving boxes to send to an organization who they send out to families. For every donation that they bring in, the kids actually get to add on to our turkey store. Turkeys have some more feathers. Hopefully by the end of November, we have a turkey that's full of feathers. And it's just a nice thing to help out our community and to show community how much Williams and North cares.
Be Good, Do Good for me is a way to share my kindness and how I want to be with everyone. I love to be kind and I love to get to know many people. I feel so proud just seeing that our campaign has done such an effect on the school.
It makes me feel kind of empowered in a certain type of way, because we really want to put this responsibility on the students to show their leadership skills and know that they have responsibilities as they get older. It just gives me hope for the future, because a lot of people doubt this generation, but honestly seeing how compassionate some of them can be is really inspiring. It makes the future look bright.
Awesome. Thank you very much. That's very inspiring. Next, we know the importance of providing students with unique opportunities and experiences to connect with the curriculum. Recently, a Williamsville South High School English Language Arts class took a trip to the Eternal Flame for inspiration during one of their lessons. Please welcome Principal Keith Boardman, who will share more.
Thank you for having us. Unfortunately, our teacher couldn't make it. She is actually, she started practice about 10 minutes ago. She's our varsity basketball coach this year. So, I said, no, you should do that. It's only the second day. I think we all know that learning isn't contained just in the four walls of the classroom. And one of the things that this project is designed to do is really connect these students to things outside of school. In this case, it's getting out to Chestnut Ridge and spending some time hiking to the Eternal Flame. I think you'll see from the video there's some really interesting things that they do to connect that with the English curriculum, that very concept of transcendentalism, Thoreau, Walden. All of that is sort of connected, and it's a great opportunity for our kids to really do something very different with what it is that they're doing as they're writing there. And I'll let the video go through and talk about the rest.
Thank you, Principal Boardman.
We're in Chestnut Ridge. We walked to the Eternal Flame, and along the way there were 5 different stations where students stopped and did different activities to connect with the nature around them, connect with the people around them. We start this school year with this nature unit, and the whole idea is to take their creativity in different directions and be able to expand on thoughts in ways that they really haven't had the freedom to in like typical classes.
I felt ideas come to me smoothly. I feel happier when I'm outside. Just being in the quiet and in the peace helps to bring out the more hidden aspects of your surroundings.
I've always seen videos and photos. We learned about it in science class before, and it's just so interesting to look at it with your own eyes. It's just so special. I don't think I get out into nature often enough, and this experience really makes me want to do it more often.
When we walk back, I want you to pay attention to the temperature on your skin, the silence of the woods. In life, we have our habits, our ways of maneuvering through our lives. If we're always going on track A, we never get to see what's on track B. So much of life and school and our culture is always go, 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 and we never get a chance to be human beings, and that is just being still, being with ourselves, being quiet, slowing down. That's an experience that they don't get very often, that I think echoes and vibrates in their hearts after they leave.
Enjoyed some nature, got to see just the calmness and peacefulness of the forest. Just being able to appreciate the small things. Take a second to slow down and experience everything around you, not going a million miles an hour.
I got this mushroom because it looks kind of like a seashell, and it reminds me that things can fit into places that they're not really supposed to.
The Mandala Station is the students going out, finding things in the woods that they connect with, bring it back and be able to tell a piece of their story and share it with people around them. You really can start finding yourself, and that's the whole purpose of being out here, being able to find things you connect with, being one with the nature around you.
I chose the multi-colored leaf because I'm very culturally diverse. My mom is from 2 different backgrounds, and so is my dad, so I'm kind of like a mix of everything. Life is busy. We always have things to do, whether it's sports, your clubs, your societies. So this was just a really good day for us to just be here. There's so much more than ourselves. You're this one person in this huge place. There's so much more to life than just us. It's just taking a breath and pausing and just letting go of everything else and being present.
How powerful, right? Thank you for sharing that. I want to go on the next Eternal Flame field trip, right? Great. Finally, tonight we want to take a moment to congratulate Dr. Tim Redmond, a social studies teacher at Williamsville East High School. At the end of October, Dr. Redmond was recognized and honored with the Dr. Reed Taylor Award for Human Rights by the Academy for Human Rights. Throughout the course of his career, Dr. Redmond has informed, engaged, and not only developed professional learning to equip teachers, but also curriculum for students to be prepared citizens and leaders in a diverse global community. His work exemplifies and embodies our mission and belief statements as a district. Here is a look at Dr. Redmond, his impact, and the Dr. Reed Taylor Award for Human Rights.
To receive this award means an awful lot. I think, one, it's an acknowledgement of your dedication to education, but it's also specifically an award for human rights education.
Tim is at the leading edge of a national conversation on what teachers need. Now, it's one thing to learn how to teach, 20, 30 years ago, but we know the earth keeps spinning. And Tim's had his fingers on the pulse of the national and international conversation. And brings that to support our teachers and to train them on important topics. And as the conference manager for the Academy for Human Rights, over the past 10 years, he's trained hundreds of local educators. And those numbers matter because each teacher teaches roughly 125 students a year. So pretty quickly, Tim has filled up Highmark Stadium with lives he's impacted on the most important topics of our day.
He makes a point of seeing the kids as to who they are and finding a way to connect to them. Because if you can't connect to the kids in your classroom, the other stuff is never going to happen. So he finds a way to connect to them, get to know who they are. Sometimes the phrase human rights might seem too big to digest, but caring about the person next to you is not too hard to do. Seeing injustice and addressing it is not so hard to do. And he helps to give them the building blocks to do that, both in Global One and AP Government, as well as the critical thinking and human rights electives.
His classes really changed my perspective as not just a student, but I feel like as a citizen, not just in my community, but in the world. I feel like I left, especially human rights and genocide, I left that class with a much larger understanding of my responsibility as a global citizen, of my civic duty in this country and in this world.
I hope that I can sort of spark that initiative. I mean, that is the aspiration for every teacher, right? This is why we get into this line of work. We want to inspire students. We want to inspire our kids to become the best that they can possibly be.
I feel so much more prepared. I feel like I have a much better understanding of human rights issues, even how complicated they are, how complicated it is to tackle them, but how important it is to tackle them.
The importance of human rights education in our school and in our district, and I'm inspired by the fact that I was lucky enough to be given this award, and it motivates me to be even a better advocate for human rights education here in the district and across the country.
Awesome. It is my pleasure to welcome and congratulate Dr. Tim Redmond, accompanied by Principal Jason Swankson, Director of Social Studies Ms. Karen Greco, and Social Studies teacher Carrie Faye Daly.
Well, thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you for that wonderful video, Nick. I know how much time you put into that. And just a couple quick words really about my wonderful colleague, Carrie Faye Daly, who nominated me for the award. It's a blessing to work with such brilliant people and passionate people and great teachers. She's an inspiration to me every day. And then I'd like to thank some other people in the district. I think it was probably around 2010 when I got an email from Karen Greco that there was this great program that was running in the summer for students about human rights education, and they were inviting teachers to attend. And so I decided to go, and I went, and that's where I first met Drew Bider, who was in that video. He's in Springville, other great teachers like Jim Gang at Hamburg, Lori Rabel at Hamburg, who had the summer program, and all these kids were attending, 30, 40 kids, taking a week out of their summer to learn about human rights. And I was so inspired, and I came back the next year, and I emailed Karen and said, Karen, I'd really love to start a human rights elective in the district. And immediately she said, okay, that sounds great, let's do it. And so then we got together with another colleague, Rebecca Dolan, at North, and we wrote the curriculum for the course and then immediately started offering it. And it's been a very popular course since then. And then after that, through teaching that class, I actually was able to meet a gentleman named Carl Wilkins, who when the genocide broke out in Rwanda in 1994, the U.S. Embassy told every American to evacuate. He refused. He was the only American that stayed behind. And he ended up saving hundreds and hundreds of lives of children who were in orphanages, who were going to be slaughtered. And he personally saved them. And I just met him through this work. He has since come to Williamsville East. I think he's been to North as well, maybe, and I think South. I think he's actually been in all three of our high schools over the years, and that he's been able to come here because of support from the PTSA. That gives me money for paying for his travel and things like that. And then after I established a relationship with him, he asked me to go to Rwanda with him, and I went to Rwanda with him, I think in the summer of 2016. And I won't get into all the details of the trip, but all I can say is it was life-changing. It made me a far better teacher. It also made me a far better person. And part of that trip was paid for by the ELF grant through the district. And so the larger point here, I guess, is at every step of the way in my career and journey, the district has been there for me. They have provided resources, whether it's letting me know about this summer program, providing money to bring in speakers, providing money for me to go on this trip to Rwanda, and that has made me a better teacher. It's, I think, helped the students become better people as well. Hearing Carl speak makes you a better person, and so I'm just very grateful for all the support that I've had over the years, because it has made me a better teacher, but also a better person. And so it's not, a district can do far more than just develop their teachers with new technology or whatever. They can develop their teachers as people. And when the teachers become better people and they're in front of the classroom, our students become better people as well. And so I'm very grateful for the support, and I'm very grateful for the award. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much. Are we doing a picture, Nick? Okay. Dr. Redmond, if you could.
We're going to do a photo. Okay.
Board President, I turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Brownhall. Are there any board acknowledgements? Dr. Singh.
I wanted to congratulate the Drama Club of East. We went to their play Radium Girls on last Friday. Stuart was with me, and we were just amazed at the performances of all the cast there, and of course the effort that went to building the set and everything there.
Thank you.
I have one.
Ms. Vice President Manna.
Thank you. Today is, we honor school-related professionals. It's School-Related Professionals Day. So those people who make our schools run every single day, from early morning bus routes to after-school cleanup, from bandaging scraped knees to serving nutritious meals, from maintaining safe buildings to supporting our classrooms, our SRPs truly rise to the challenge. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, SR. Any other board acknowledgements? Ms. Poulin.
Yes, I would like to acknowledge all of the young students from our middle school and some of our freshman high school students also, and their music instructors for the great showing that they performed at the area all-state concerts 2 weeks ago. It was truly phenomenal, and looking through the program and seeing the number of Williamsville students in each one of those 6 different groupings was quite impressive. I think we had at least a third of each one of those, so
excellent.
Congratulations to all of them.
Thank you so much. Other board acknowledgements? Okay, we will move on to item 4A, which is public expression. I call on Parliamentarian Poulin to review our format.
Welcome to all of you who have come to observe this regular board meeting. Per our policy 1510, the board allows for up to 30 minutes for this first public expression period. This is a time when we invite members of our school community to share ideas, opinions, and concerns with us. While we are here to listen carefully and we take your concerns seriously, public comment is not designed to be a discussion. Therefore, please do not expect us to respond tonight. Instead, you will receive a response by email after our meeting. Because we want to maintain mutual respect and civility, please ensure that comments are delivered in a respectful manner to the board directly. Also, under state and federal privacy laws, we are unable to entertain any comments related to employee personnel information or any topic which may disclose information about a particular student. On these matters, we ask that you go through the appropriate administrative channels. Please note that individuals are required to sign up prior to our meeting, and each speaker is allotted 3 minutes for comments. You will be signaled at 2.5 minutes so that you may conclude your remarks. At this time, we will begin our public comments. After I call on you, please step up to the podium and state your name. Whitney Wild.
Hello, I'm Whitney Wild, and good evening, members of the board. Thank you for giving me this time to speak tonight about Policy 5710. I'm speaking not only for my own family, but for many families who have struggled with the sudden and rigid enforcement of this year's bus stop policy. What we've experienced is not just a minor inconvenience. It has created daily safety risks for our children that could be easily avoided with a more flexible approach. For many of us, it has felt as though the district's unyielding adherence to the policy has overshadowed safety and efficiency. On my street, for example, the bus now stops far away from where all of the children on the street actually live. Children as young as 5 are required to walk along a road that has no sidewalks and that has traffic that often does not adhere to posted speed limits. On the street next to ours, elementary students must walk down their street and cross a busy road notorious for speeding cars to reach a street corner. This is not a safe or logical expectation, but it has been happening because the district refuses to allow the bus driver to listen to parents and make a common sense judgment call to make the stop at a safe spot. While the study concluded that a small number of reviewed stops were unsafe, many families continue to see situations that the report does not fully reflect. Children crossing busy roads, waiting at corners with poor visibility, walking much farther distances, often without sidewalks or lighting, and the upcoming winter conditions when snow piles up, streets narrow, and children cannot walk safely on lawns or curbs. Many assigned stops are on private property where snow removal can't be enforced, causing children to stand in the road or on properties where homeowners are unknown to the families with students and who may not welcome the added liability of children in their driveways. These are everyday lived experiences, and they matter just as much as the data provided in a study. If the district chooses to listen to parents, you will see what a third-party study simply cannot show you. Parents and bus drivers are the eyes in the neighborhoods, the ones with the students observing conditions in real time. As you review the study tonight, consider changes to the policy language, I want to emphasize that parents are not asking for special treatment. We are asking for common sense. We are asking you to trust your drivers and parents to work together to determine sensible locations based on actual conditions. We are here because we want all children in the district to be safe, but to do this, we need a transportation policy that supports safety rather than undermines it. The number of concerns raised this year shows that the current policy is not working. Williamsville School District is a highly sought-after school district, and quite frankly, we can do better to provide safe bus stops for all of our students because every student matters. What we ask of the board tonight is simple. Please approve changes that restore the flexibility that used to exist that allowed parents and bus drivers to make safe and reasonable adjustments based on real conditions, not just policy wording. And please remember that our children are more important than policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Maria Lagopoulos. Hope I got close on your name.
Yeah, Lagopoulos. Thank you. Good evening. I'm here to discuss the similar issue of bus safety. Again, I am not thinking that my situation is unique. By the sounds of it, there are many people in my situation. My son is almost 6 and is a grade 1 student. We are attending Forest Elementary. We are the only stop on our street, and yet we are having to walk down to a fire hydrant, which is at the other side of the street. We have no sidewalks, the exact same situation as many parents are facing. It has not been a problem thus far. I bring all 3 of my kids down to the bus every day. However, I do believe that come winter, when the snow piles up, our neighbors may not be as friendly. We may not be able to wait on their property, and we will be forced to wait in the middle of the street. Again, I do believe this is an extreme safety issue. I was looking to see if there could be some consideration for these unique situations where it can be left either up to the bus driver or to the discretion of the board, or maybe, again, I understand a route needs to be streamlined. However, there are situations like this where there are no sidewalks. Come winter, there will be nowhere for us to wait. Secondly, situation that we are in is that we are the only stop for Forest Elementary on our street, and the bus, after picking us up at the fire hydrant, drives directly by our street, by our house. So I just, think that there could be some consideration for the houses that were not studied in this, the study that did look at the 71 streets that pose other safety issues. There are other issues that maybe have not been discovered yet, such as ours. So I was looking to see if that could be looked at by the board. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Lisa Perry.
Good evening, members of the board, administrators, and community. My name is Lisa Perry, and I'm here to speak about student safety in the district's bus stop policy. For many years, Williamsville picked students up at or near their driveways, even though the written policy stated otherwise. Families built routines and safety plans around that long-standing practice. This year, however, enforcement changed abruptly. Drivers have expressed that they fear disciplinary action if they make even a single safety-based exception, even in cases where an adjustment adds no time or distance to a route. Many neighborhoods in our districts have no sidewalks, forcing students to walk in the street. Right now, children are stepping into leaf piles. Soon they'll be walking through snow and ice in the dark early morning hours. Many students must now walk to busy corners that were never designed for small children to wait safely. The district recently shared the PTSI school bus stop safety audit. While we appreciate the effort, the audit examined only 71 stops out of more than 5,000, less than 1.5%. That is far too small a sample to accurately represent safety district-wide. The audit does in fact note that driveway stops are often the safest option when sidewalks or shoulders are absent, reinforcing the need for flexibility. And every child is different. Some simply do not have the executive functioning needed to follow safety instructions. Our neighboring districts have taken more protective approaches. Clarence and Sweet Home continue driveway pickups and drop-offs, accepting extra time on the bus in exchange for safer access. Other districts like North Tonawanda use bus aids so young children board and exit safely. Williamsville currently provides neither of these supports. Families also face real-life challenges that current policy does not account for. Grandparents who help with childcare may struggle to walk to distant stops. Parents carrying infants or managing toddlers face same difficulties. District policy should work with families to support safety, not create daily obstacles. Inside our schools, safety is treated with the utmost seriousness. That commitment to safety cannot end at the building doors. It must extend to transportation, from school to the porch and back again. A petition calling for flexibility, safety-centered adjustments has now gathered nearly 500 signatures. Tonight, I respectfully urge the board to amend the policy to allow for reasonable case-by-case stop adjustments. Our children deserve safe access to the bus, just as they deserve a safe environment once they arrive at school. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Aaron Petritz.
Thank you. I can't say anything more eloquently than the last few speakers already have, so I will just bring up the exact same issue. We live on a cul-de-sac. We have 15 homes, 2 kids that attend public school. We've had one stop in the same location for the last 2 years. It was suddenly moved to a much more dangerous location. We've addressed the issues with the transportation department. They've touted district policy as moved. We would just like an answer on why it has been moved to a more dangerous location, what steps need to be made to move it back to where it was. We're not asking for the bus to take longer, go a different route. I'm fine with my kids walking. It's none of that. The stop is in a dangerous location. There's a lot of visibility issues. Your own traffic study says there's issues with the stop. Nothing has been done to change it. So if you're not going to look at your studies, you're not going to listen to the parents when and what solutions we can expect. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Andrea McLean.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. My name is Andrea McLean, and my comments are on bus stop safety. Williamsville Central School District does so many things in the name of student safety, yet this year the decision was made to remove a measure of safety from children of all ages, a poorly communicated strict adherence to the bus stop location policy. I moved here in 2022, and my children have always gotten off and on the bus at our house, and the reason seemed very obvious to me. We don't have sidewalks, and our road is a through street to transit. I feel this change was reckless. Many of the parents and bus drivers who have years of experience on their roads and routes were told, hydrants and corners only, in the name of policy and treating all kids the same. What should be considered fair to all the children of this district? The rigid policy that all children are standing next to a hydrant or corner when the bus arrives, or that all children have a safe path to the bus stop and a safe place to stand while they wait. In different neighborhoods, this means different styles of stops. For roads with no sidewalks, no marked shoulder, it is not safe for children to walk in the shared roadway with vehicular traffic. On my street, there's a long history of speeding traffic, which the Clarence Highway Department will verify. This policy simply puts children and their caregivers in harm's way more than necessary. The district should be helping to mitigate risks, even if they deem them not the district's liability. Our school district has an excellent reputation because it goes above and beyond, not because it meets the bare minimum of the law. Academics, art, music, sports, all of these areas are invested in above and beyond the bare minimum, and I believe our district is capable of providing transportation to all students in a way that surpasses the bare minimum requirements and is appropriate for the actual conditions on each street. I would like to know, what are the metrics driving this change? How much has the district saved in dollars and time by making this policy enforcement change this year? What savings of time and money does the district hope to get by increasing risk to families' health and safety daily? Who decided what our children are worth? And has the district seen any benefits from taking this safety measure from us? I propose that the district include language in its policies specifically to ensure the safety of students on through streets with no sidewalks. House-to-house bus service should be in place. I implore the district to prioritize student safety over efficiency. Removing measures of safety should only be an absolute last resort, and I believe our district has not exhausted other solutions to its transportation efficiency issues. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes our first public expression. Thank you to all.
Thank you to everyone who spoke tonight. We are moving on to item 4B. Dr. Brown Hall, I turn it over to you for introduction of the enrollment projections presentation.
Thank you very much, Board President. Every year we hire Dr. Grossman, previously with the RED group. This year, Dr. Grossman will be presenting, and this is actually his final year presenting. So we thank Dr. Grossman for the many years of service to our district with developing our enrollment report. Our enrollment report is used to actually identify enrollment projections for the district and help us to understand where we might see increases or decreases in student enrollment, which then will affect our FTEs and our staffing at our school buildings. I turn it over to Dr. Grossman. I welcome you and thank you very much for being here this evening to present your report virtually. The report is housed in board docs, and Dr. Grossman, I turn it over to you.
Thank you. Can you hear me all right?
We sure can.
Okay. I'm going to rely on Nicholas to move the slides along. I just wanted to...
Okay, you're getting a little bit lower with the volume.
What's that?
You're getting a little bit lower with the volume. Can you get closer to your microphone?
Sure.
Awesome.
I don't know if Nick can
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
That's a little better, yes.
All right. I'll try to speak up a little bit. We want to yell. Anyway, it's really been a pleasure to serve the district for 2 decades doing these, and I've never had any problems. The staff with new staff, new superintendents, everyone's been fantastic for the last 20 plus years. But I decided that I'd go out on a high note. So I appreciate everybody's cooperation. And I hope you let me know if you can't hear what I'm saying. So we'll go to slide 1. Next slide. There we go. Nothing has changed in the key factors, but for those who might not be familiar with this report, we haven't been here for the report in prior years. The key factors that we look at are changes in kindergarten class size, the current enrollment, of course, migration in and out, the number of resident school-age children in private, parochial home, and charter schools, and the number of students in out-of-district programs or are incarcerated students. We look at dropouts, high school leavers, and residential development. Those are the factors that really haven't changed in all the times we've been doing this. Slide 3. So we're going to look at assumptions that we use in making these projections, the current K-12 enrollments, the birth rates and kindergarten trends, the relationship between birth rates and kindergarten trends, migration and residential development, and that impact, and the impact of those residential development and in-migration on enrollments, the history of K-12, elementary, middle school, and high schools, and the projections of those, And then we have summary and conclusions. So the report doesn't take too long to go through. And frankly, there's no new assumptions, there's no new outline for the report. Okay, we're going to number 4. So our assumptions are that kindergartens will be smaller than 12th grades for at least 4 years when allowed. And this has been an assumption for the entire time I've been doing this. We'll go into detail on that. In-migration will offset attrition, and I'll explain to those who haven't got experience with this report what in-migration means. The housing turnover in new residential development will increase. That is an assumption, and that is continuing. And other factors such as incarcerated youth and so on, and students in parochial schools and private schools will stay stable. And that's been true except for increase in homeschool students during the COVID pandemic. Next. Okay, so if you look at this, it shows you what our K-12 enrollments are this year. And you can see that the kindergarten is not the smallest class, but last year it was quite small, and this year it's gone up significantly. And the largest class, over 800, is leaving the 12th grade this year, but a class of 799 is in the 4th grade. So we're really leveling out as we go in the size of the classes. And that's been ongoing. We used to have classes in the high 8s, even over 900. And so our declining enrollments have not been as bad as other districts. And we'll talk about why that is next. So one of the things that I like to do is look at the birth rates 5 years prior to kindergarten class. And the correlation between the birth rates, which are the red line, and the kindergarten classes 5 years later, which is the blue line, is pretty stable. They go up and down pretty much in the same direction. And then there's a factor of students moving into the district, which supplements the fact that if you just have the students born in the district 5 years prior, you wouldn't have a class of more than, let's say, 534. But when you get the kids that have moved in who were in that age group over the period of 5 years, you have a class of 600 plus. So that what we do is we take an average of the difference between the birth rate and the kindergarten enrollments, and we apply that to the projection. So that's how we make the projections. Kindergarten class projections have been pretty accurate, not 100%, because it's hard to predict what the birth rate is going to be. Okay, we'll move on. So migration and residential development, we haven't seen you do this report before. Migration in or out is the net effect of both housing turnover and new residential development. And over the past years and decades, in-migration has mitigated the effects of smaller kindergarten classes, lower birth rates, on the overall K-12 enrollments. So, and if students were moving out of the district, we call it out-migration, and you can see your enrollments go down. Okay, next slide. All right, so historically, in the last 5 years, the K-12 enrollments have increased by 50 students, which on a base of almost 10,000 is almost the same. Really have been very, very stable over the past 5 years. Next. And we project something similar, a little bit of an uptick, which is taking 20 years to to appear, and a little bit of an uptick on the enrollments, about 200, give or take, over the next 5 years is what we would project. Okay? Next. The elementary school history of all the elementary schools is, again, very stable. This 27, increase of 27 over the last 5 years, which is better than it was when we started because it was a decreasing curve. 11. Next thing. And next year, for the next 5 years, we project continued increases of about 115, 120 students across all the elementary schools. So it's not a huge increase, but it will have an impact. 12. And then the middle schools, the 5-year history was an increase of 155 students, which put some pressure on some of the schools. Next. But we look at some of these larger classes moving out, we replace with some somewhat smaller classes from the elementary schools, but still not a significant dip, 82 students. That's within the margin of error, I think, over the next 5 years. Next. The high schools. And the high schools very similar because their classes were so large, leaving, and smaller middle school classes moving in. There was a net of minus 143, but 450. All right, but we project that leveling out will occur, and maybe a little bump up in the high schools of 155 students, 160, 150. Okay, so that again, it's more or less stability all the way through. And then when we look at what we say is the summary conclusions, what we say in terms of the current versus next year versus 5 years from now, you can see relative stability across the board, with some districts being projected to, some elementary schools being projected to increase a little more than others. Some may be decreasing, but overall, pretty much stability there. And what we found was Dodge, High Mill, Maple East, and Maple West. You need to look at these numbers, what the implications of these numbers are. And High needs attention due to the number of proposed developments and the current feeder patterns. And I did mention in the report that it's hard to predict or hard to determine how developments are progressing based on the GSI, satellite images, because they're not current. So I recommended that staff occasionally go out and look at the different projects that are on the boards. And the planning department can tell you that. And just see where they are. Are they starting to sell? Are they just starting to clear? Because if they're just starting to clear, you don't have to worry about it for about 5 years. But if they're starting to sell, you can go on Zillow too and look at it, then they will start having an impact. Number 17, and this is the same story, but there is a bump up in North High, and again, that is due to the potential for a lot of projects that are in that part of the district coming in and coming into middle schools, elementary, middle, and the high school. So, summary and conclusions, next slide. K-12 enrollments will level out as follows: small increases in elementary, small decreases in the middle, and small increases in the high school. And I think that the key word there is small, but they could be impactful year to year, and school district to school district, because you can't really predict that closely. 5 families moving in with 5 to 10 children of school age can have an impact on one school. The economic recovery, including home turnover and new construction, will add students to the district, offset the smaller elementary classes. And while the COVID pandemic had a big impact slowing development, there were a lot of activities that have geared up, but now there's a downturn in some of the home sales for a variety of reasons. But eventually, those homes are going to turn over, and new construction is going to have students in it. And as I just said, the effects of residential development will vary among the schools with things that you can't really project. And that's it. Any questions?
Board members, are there any questions? Dr. Grossman, I don't see any questions.
I've done that good a job.
Yes, and thank you, because I have been here, this is my 6th year, and I know you have provided this for all the time I've been on the board, so we appreciate everything you've done for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great night, Dr. Grossman.
Thank you.
Enjoy your retirement.
Thank you.
Dr. Brown Hall, I turn it over to you for item 4C, which is our bus safety audit presentation.
Thank you very much, Board President. So as many of our speakers have indicated, our policy 5710 has been in our books for many, many years, dating back pre-2009. After we completed our transportation efficiency study in the spring, we saw that we actually weren't adhering in many instances to policy 5710. We communicated over the summer that we would be adhering to this policy, and we wanted to make sure that all of the information we received from the transportation efficiency study, we acted upon beginning the fall of 2025. After we did that, we did receive a number of inquiries and complaints from parents explaining that they had been used to the way transportation was actually taking place in our district. Many parents that had home pickup. And unfortunately, we are not able to actually identify how many of those home pickups were legitimate because of stops that we made as a district, or which of the pickups were in place because bus drivers decided, or parental request to the bus drivers, not in adherence to policy 5710. So when parents say we are strictly adhering to policy 5710 this school year, they are absolutely correct. But with those inquiries and complaints, I did discuss with the board and our acting assistant superintendent of finance and management services that maybe we actually contract out with the Pupil Transportation Safety Institute, who is very well known for their best practices in bus stops and bus routes and their examination of bus stops and bus routes. So we reached out to PTSI, and they agreed to come into our district to perform the audit. There was a lot of great background work done before this audit really getting all of the bus stops that we receive complaints about, and our acting assistant superintendent, Dr. McGinley, actually compiled those stops and additional stops so we have a representative sample that PTSI would examine across the district. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. McGinley first, and he will discuss some of the background with the study. Dr. McGinley?
Great. Thank you, Dr. Brown Hall, and thank you, board. Going to launch the presentation here. All set. So as you know, our transportation department coordinates a massive operation each and every day to safely transport approximately 9,000 public and private students daily. That's once in the morning and then again once in the afternoon. So with over 5,000 bus stops, and it's important to note that that's 2,500 in the morning and 2,500 in the afternoon. We average about 3.5 students per stop. But that doesn't mean you're going to see 3.5 students at each stop. There's going to be some stops that have maybe 1 student and other stops that have over 10 students. There's also days that students don't ride the bus due to a variety of factors, including families who choose to drive their children, sports, or high school students who drive their own vehicles. This equates to roughly about 1,400 students. With roughly 9,600 Williamsville students, this means we have about 8,200 in-district students who ride the bus daily. Additionally, because we are required by law to provide transportation within 15-mile radius of private schools, this means we service about 75 schools on a daily basis with a fleet of over 125 buses. Keep in mind that most buses have 3 bus runs in the morning and another 3 bus runs in the afternoon that service our high schools, elementary schools, and middle schools. So as you can see, there's a significant and complex operation that occurs each and every day to safely and efficiently transport thousands of students to and from school. Our transportation policy 5710, which has been in existence for over 20 years, affirms the Board of Education's commitment to providing safe, efficient, and economical transportation for all eligible students. This policy outlines standards for distance measurement, bus assignments, routing, and bus stop locations, as well as specific provisions for students with disabilities. With regard to stops, it's important to note that in nearly all cases, unless a home has a hydrant or the property is located on a corner, the bus is either going to pass directly by the house or stop just short of the house. However, as stated in our policy, students in grades K to 4 would not be expected to travel more than 1/10 of a mile to the bus stop or 2/10 of a mile in grades 5 to 12, unless a child lives on a street that we're not permitted to travel down. Nevertheless, following recent transportation discussions regarding this policy and family inquiries, the district engaged the Pupil Transportation Safety Institute, or PTSI, to conduct an independent on-site audit of a representative selection of district bus stops, including several locations where safety concerns had been raised in order to help us strengthen our review process. PTSI is an internationally recognized provider of school bus driver training, management consulting, and safety resources that happen to be located in Syracuse, New York. They've been serving the school transportation industry since 1994 and have a long-standing partnership with the New York State Education Department and have developed the state's district safety review program. Our evaluation centered around 24 regions and included neighborhoods and over 70 bus stops that represented a diverse range of factors, including many main busy roads, residential streets with and without sidewalks, rural areas, cul-de-sacs, wide roads, narrow roads, fire hydrant stops, corner stops, and apartment complexes. It's important to note that this study was not a scientific randomized study. It was an intentional targeted sampling of stops already identified as having concerns. This is a common and appropriate method when the goal is to analyze areas of potential risk. The audit was therefore not intended to draw definitive conclusions about every stop, but rather to test, validate, and enhance our existing criteria and methodology. We also strategically conducted this evaluation in the last week of October, which allowed the auditors to observe authentic safety considerations such as limited morning visibility, inclement weather such as rain and frost, and roadway obstructions such as leaf piles. We also asked the auditors to consider additional safety factors such as snow and ice in their study. We're fortunate tonight to have Ms. Maria Caracci, Training and Development Specialist for PTSI, with us tonight to share her findings and the PTSI findings. Ms. Caracci brings a wealth of experience to her role. Prior to joining PTSI in 2018, she spent over 20 years as a school bus driver, safely transporting everyone from preschool children to adults with special needs. In addition, she served as a transportation student behavior liaison for 17 years, providing training, monitoring compliance, and consulting drivers, attendants, students, parents, and principals. She is also a certified crisis intervention trainer through Cornell University and currently holds certifications as a New York State school bus driver instructor and 19A examiner, ensuring the highest standards in transportation safety and driver training. Ms. Caracci has dedicated her career to transportation and continues to develop materials and programs that enhance the industry. It's my pleasure to introduce Ms. Maria Caracci.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here tonight to have a little discussion regarding the study that we did.
Can you speak into the mic a little more?
I can.
Thank you so much.
I'm so used to that bus driver voice, I don't want to blow you all out of the seat. Anyways, it's my pleasure to be here tonight to discuss the study that we did for you at the end of October with bus stops in the community of Williamsville. Thank you for this opportunity. A little bit about PTSI. We are a not-for-profit operation. We've been in operation for 30 years. Not only do we do training online and in person, we will create curriculums for individual areas in need. We do consultations as well as contracting throughout, as he said, throughout the country, and we enjoy what we do. I think he covered most of my information here. I have been in the industry for 39 years, retired in 2018, had an opportunity to work part-time for PTSI. They offered me a full-time position, and here I am out of retirement. One thing I would like to add is that I am, at the national level, a pupil transportation specialist, in addition to a master instructor here in New York State.
Awesome.
The methodology that we used at PTSI when we did the study here, we had a team of 3 auditors. The district, obviously, as he said, identified 24 neighborhoods for us to examine, and within those neighborhoods, 71 stops. We did traffic counts morning and afternoon. We did bus stop assessments with a strong focus on the safety of those locations. The bus stop study field criteria that we covered, the traffic counts involved a 30-minute window. And when we talk about that 30-minute window, in our daily routine, there was established pickup times on the routes that we covered. And in those routes, if it was a 7 o'clock pickup, what we did, 15 minutes before we were at the stop, we waited till the bus arrived. 15 minutes later, we left. So during that assessment of that stop, we were able to absorb the amount of traffic that flowed at that intersection or at that bus stop. That included both commercial vehicles and non-commercial vehicles. We also took a look at the geographical layout of that bus stop. Was the bus stop on a curve? Was it on a hill? Was it a straightaway? Were there any obstructions there? Were there trees, bushes, shrubs? Things that we needed to take into consideration during the evaluation. We also looked at sidewalks. We looked at the walk path a student would have to take. We looked at the areas where they waited for the bus. Is it adequate? Does it meet the regulation for New York State? We took all of those factors into consideration. We also look at the intersections and railroad tracks, which ironically, you don't have any of those here. I was quite impressed. First time ever. But through that whole process, we were able to come up with a great positive study and the outcome. The assessments that we received were parent inquiries over time. The assessments focused on specific addresses, and we went out and we measured from a particular address to a bus stop location, whether it be at a hydrant or at an intersection, from the middle of the driveway to that location. There were non-specific concerns that we covered. It was a general assessment for safety and how you were doing in the district. District and families, they flagged 71 concerns, 71 stops. 52 of those stops received no recommendation for enhancements. And that overall is 73% of what we looked at was okay. It really looked good. 22 recommendations for enhancements at 19 stops were made. Those recommendation examples consisted of moving the stop a few feet away, combining some stops, creating a house stop, removing limbs, removing any type of obstruction that may be there, or possibly adding a bus stop warning sign, which you can see on the screen. That's what that looks like. And that's a little bit more involved because it gets the town and the county involved to come up and assess that location. The general study, the summary that we have, data collected highlights the correlation between effort and safety, and you met it. You are good, seeking better. Kudos. The district focused on safety of their children, time and time again. You are 22 recommendations away from safer. And it's my understanding, based on an email I received yesterday, that you have already made those steps and put that in progress. We know that there'll be a few more steps involved to the signage process for approval for that. But overall, that's what we found. I want to thank you again for that opportunity to come out here and evaluate your district. It's a wonderful place, Williamsville. I had no idea it was a hidden secret. All these years I traveled to Buffalo, didn't know it. But, so, do you have any questions for me?
Dr. Singh.
I just have one question. What are your suggestions in case of snow covering parts of the road or like leaves in fall?
Yeah, when it comes to snow, that's a difficult situation. Obviously, we don't know what the percentage of snow will be. We don't know the specific locations and how well parents or driveway owners, the residents that live there, will clean that. The best, we did a lot of measurements as far as width of the road to make sure that there was at least a safe accommodation. Even if 2 vehicles passed, you will see in the report where we'll have 27.5 feet. So you average the distance of 2, or the width of 2 vehicles side by side would still allow them enough distance or enough safe walking space, even with snow in the road.
Thank you.
Anna?
Yes, perhaps you or Dr. McGinley can answer this. Why is it important, or if it's not important, to have established bus stops? A speaker had said earlier, we've received emails that they have to go to point A, but the bus picks them up at point A, but then drives right past their house. Why is it important to have those pre-established stops, or is it important?
Right. I can help answer that.
Go ahead. I can do it. Your
go
call.
ahead.
Okay.
Start.
Well, for the safest thing for student pickup and drop off is to have an established stop. The purpose for that established stop is for the driver to be able to identify the child and say, okay, there's 5 children at the stop. I'm going to wait for 5 children. If there aren't 5 children coming to the bus, then I can assume one may not be coming at all. We don't want to miss a child, because that's how accidents happen. So if there's a designated stop with a designated number of students to pick up and drop off, it's easier for them to know exactly who's on their bus and who's getting on and off at what given time. That's why they establish bus stop locations.
Thank you. And my other comment would be that, I wish the district had the capacity to do door-to-door service. You're talking hundreds of extra bus stops, literally hundreds of stops. If you took every one of those children who live on streets with no sidewalks, and Williamsville has a significant amount of those, it's hundreds of stops. It would add another half a dozen, at least dozen buses, which our provider could not provide, and we could not afford, even if they could provide. Again, I wish we could do door-to-door service. And I'm glad you focused on the stops that were, problematic or troublesome, or you receive phone calls on, because there's a bus stop in front of my house. I have sidewalks. I'm glad you didn't spend time looking at that one. Right? You focused on getting a larger representational sample of the troublesome stops, not just of every stop, but of the ones that were problematic. So I think on your methodology, I think I agree with the way you conducted that.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments?
So I move that we reorder the agenda to address item 14A, policy update 5710, transportation program now before moving on to item 5.
Second.
Okay. But it sounds like we are done with questions for you. So
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nick, I'll leave this here.
And we have a motion and a second to reorder the agenda to address item 14A, policy update 5710, transportation program. Is there any discussion on that motion? Okay, Dr. Singh.
Just one, I have a request from the policy committee to highlight the change we have made in the policy so everyone is aware of that.
Absolutely. So for discussion then, the part of, we did make a few changes, but the pertinent one that we're talking about tonight is school bus stops may generally be established at street corners, fire hydrants, and then we added, or at a district designated location that is safe and efficient for bus routes.
Thank you.
So I have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor of moving the agenda item? Okay, motion carried unanimously. So now we actually jumped ahead, because now may I have a motion for the second review of policy update 5710, transportation program as presented. Dr. Singh, Ms. Fletch, is there any discussion on the policy? We just outlined the change that was proposed. Again, it's adding at a district designated location that is safe and efficient for bus routes, which means that the transportation department will be making those determinations. Is there any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of the second review and adopting this updated transportation program policy as presented? Motion carried unanimously. Did I do everything here? Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Okay, so now we're moving back to our normal agenda. We are on agenda item number 5, the superintendent report. Dr. Brown Hall, I turn it over to you for agenda items 5A, 5B, and 5C.
Thank you very much, Board President. So we will start with the community update for November 18th, 2025. Our wall of fame. So when you go to our high schools, you will, excuse me, water. I get some more water. When you go and walk through our high schools, you will see there is designated, no, I haven't yet. You will see there is designated space on many of our high school walls where we do have Wall of Fame inductees. So these are some of our high school graduates that have gone above and beyond and are very accomplished. Nominations can now be submitted for the 2026 Williamsville Wall of Fame. Applications are due by April 13th, 2026, and the induction ceremony will take place on November 13th, 2026. We have a district-wide induction ceremony, and then we actually have at East, South, and North, we have a separate program honoring those students who are inducted into our Wall of Fame. as we sit here tonight, the National Technical Honor Society induction ceremony is taking place at Erie One BOCES tonight. We have a number of students that we wanted to highlight and list here that are being acknowledged this evening and are being inducted into the National Technical Honor Society at BOCES tonight. So I want to acknowledge and applaud these students for that accomplishment. Next, we're hiring. These positions are positions that we are always hiring for. So we have year-round hiring for many of these positions. Clerical, custodian, and maintenance mechanics. There are no civil service exams for those positions. We have comprehensive benefits for full-time positions, paid time off and holidays, multiple locations and shifts available for those positions. We are also hiring for 2 additional positions that have no civil service exam, teacher aides and cleaners. Again, paid time off and holidays, and they're available at multiple locations and shifts. So if you know of someone that is looking for a position that loves being around students, that loves being in our schools, these are the positions for them. For many of these positions, we can be very flexible, so I would encourage anyone, to visit our jobs tab on our website to see how to apply for these positions and then have a conversation with our HR department. Our communications department. As you saw the 3 videos this evening when we did school spotlights, our communication department works tirelessly to make sure we are showing all the great things happening in our district. And our communication department is nominated for several awards. Our communications team was recognized recently by the New York Schools Public Relations Association with 4 awards for our video for excellence in our 2024 opening day, our honor they received for the video for the Flame Fest at East High School, also an honor for our photograph of the last day of school, as you see right there. That is a great photo. And we received an honor for our 2024-2025 calendar that every family member gets that really highlights student artwork also. So kudos to our communications department. Nick, director, along with Dave Morales, our assistant director, and Amy Vowinkle, who is one of our graphic artists and designers. Winter weather. I actually wanted to remind, and I see it a lot also, we know we have, even when there is very, very high amounts of snow, we still have students who wear shorts, and I get it, right? But I want to please make sure you and your children are prepared for the winter. If you are missing hats, gloves, jackets, or sweatshirts, please be sure to check the lost and found at your school or the transportation department. Those pile up fast, and elementary recess can still take place outdoors during the winter months, so make sure our students are prepared for that. Chromebooks. So this is a discussion we began district-wide. Right now, our middle schools, when you arrive in middle school, grades 5 to 8, you are assigned a one-to-one Chromebook device for all students. We are beginning initial discussions to continue the one-to-one Chromebooks for grades 5 and 6 for the 26-27 school year. So we want to have balance of screen time, right? So we have a continued desire for that. We want to make sure that we're not aiding in that screen time accumulation over the day. Every classroom that we do not assign the students a one-to-one Chromebook will have a class set so that students are still able to use the Chromebooks in school in all of their classes. Right now, we are really getting feedback. We're soliciting feedback from our parents. And if you are willing to share any feedback, please do so with your building principal. We are in the initial stages of this. We hope to make a decision soon so that if teachers need to adjust any assignments that they give our students, they will have a good chunk of next year to do so prior to the 26-27 start of school in the fall. Modernization. So we're always looking, our board is always in a continuous improvement mode, and we're always looking to how we can not only better our instruction, our curriculum, our homework and grading processes, but also our school buildings. So we're having initial ideas and thinking around a modernization project for the future. Our air conditioning in the buildings remains our long-term plan. As you know, we have phase 1 and phase 2 of our air conditioning project happening at our elementary schools. We're in our initial thoughts to enhance and modernize our school, looking at some common areas in all of our school buildings, whether it be the hallways, the cafeterias, the libraries. Now, some of our schools have had those areas already updated during recent construction projects, so every school will not be receiving the same amount of modernization, but right now we're in the idea gathering phase to see what could be done at each of our schools to increase the modernization. We realize that priorities differ from school to school, so we'll be having discussions with our principals about what modernization would be effective, efficient, and necessary for their school buildings.
Dr. Brownhall, can I just interrupt you there? I know I'm jumping ahead, but are we planning to set up a reserve for modernization?
I didn't ask for questions. No, yes, we are. We will. We definitely will. We always have reserves set up, and you'll remember, I believe, we recently added another reserve last year. So we do have reserves set up, and we will continue to do that. Absolutely. Any other questions, board members, before I do the next 3 slides? Thanksgiving recess. I want to remind everyone after this week, we have Thanksgiving recess. Next week, November 27th and the 28th. We realize that it is late this year. When we return from Thanksgiving recess, it will be December 1st. We will have 15 school days before winter break, and then we're on break for 2 weeks for winter break, and then we come back into this 2026. So seniors, I will say again, savor every day of school because you will be walking that stage before you know it. I want to remind you all of our PTSA Craft Show. It's our 49th annual. It will be on December 6th and 7th at Heim Elementary and Heim Middle School. I encourage you, if you are looking to buy some of the cookies that I forget her name, the lady that sells the cookies every year, they go quick. So get there early on December 6th. But our craft show is phenomenal. You can spend all day there. So I encourage you to make sure you stop by. Last but not least, our winter recess is December 22nd until January 2nd. Classes resume on January 5th, 2026. And that is the community update for November 18th. Any questions, board members? Thank you very much. I will jump to item 5B. Item 5B is our 2025-2026 staffing and class size report. This report is prepared annually. It's used to review professional staffing during the present school year. It also serves as a resource for developing staffing models and projections for the following school year. Considering the total number of sections in grades kindergarten through grade 12, there are a few exceptions to the class size budget development guidelines. You will see we list on the report classes that are under-enrolled or over-enrolled. We want to make sure that we are staying within the ratios that are set up by the Board of Education that were adopted many years ago. If there are elementary classes that are over the guidelines, we do provide additional support in those classrooms. At the high school level, you may see some courses that are low enrolled. So many of the small enrollment numbers you see at the high school are for classes that must be offered as part of the sequence requirements for graduation or a specific diploma. You may also see this in world languages and Project Lead the Way technology classes. Any questions about the staffing and class size report, board members? I will jump ahead to item 5C. Item 5C, and I'll click on it here. It's very thorough, the explanation there, and I want to thank Dr. McGinley for that. So the audit item that is referenced, the audit firm of Drescher & Malucki stated at the October Board of Education meeting that their 24-25 financial audit showed that the district's financial condition is stable. The difference between the district's revenues and expenses resulted in a $19.63 million addition to the fund balance. A summary on the changes in assets, liabilities, fund balance, revenues, and expenses is provided in the PowerPoint presentation that is in item 5C. In addition, the 26-27 budget planning historical budgeting increases and decreases document, it clearly identifies the district's main expense area as salaries and benefits. This represents 85.3% of all past annual increases and 76.6% of the budget increase in our current budget. So that report is very detailed also, and you can find the entire report in item 5C in board docs. Are there any questions, board members? All right, Board President, I turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brown Hall. We are now on item 6A, events. Our conversations with staff is tomorrow, November 19th. We will have a student board member selection committee that will hold a virtual meeting on November 25th at 3 p.m. Our board retreat is December 3rd, 6:30 p.m. with student board members attending for the first hour if they're able. Our next building visit is January 15th, and during our November 4th visits to Forest, South, and Mill, we viewed facility updates and class instruction. We also had a very nice turnout for our community forum on November 1st, and the topics included football safety, constitutionally protected prayer in schools, modified sports, transportation, and school start times. We are now on item 6B. Would any of our student board members like to provide a report on activities at their high school? All? Salil, would you like to start, please?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Start us off. So first of all, I just want to congratulate Dr. Edmond once again. I personally had him freshman year in Global 1, first thing in the morning. It was honestly an amazing class to start the day off with. It was very memorable, and yeah, I know he does a lot of work within our school, so yeah, that's just great that he was able to be honored for his work. As for sports, we've had very successful fall sports over at East. Boys cross country, we had a student qualify for states. Girls tennis, we had 2 athletes qualify for states in doubles. And girls swimming, ooh, they went crazy. The team ICS2 and Class B championships. They won section champions in 200 medley relay and the 400 meet free relay. They also set multiple pool records at the Transit Middle Pool. And then they had several state qualifiers across events, including the 50 free, the 100 free, the 100 fly, the 100 breaststroke, and all the relay teams. As for gymnastics, we had 2 athletes qualify for states in vaults, bars, and floor and bars. And then on November 13th, our college signing day, we had 3 girls commit to Division I sports in cross country, track, and field hockey. And then for boys, we had 2 boys commit to D2 in baseball.
Wow.
In our school on Veterans Day, we had our music department performed at Solstice Housing. Senior housing. So basically, the students, what they did is they created cards for all the veterans and all the senior citizens there, and then they took like a mini field trip there, and then they performed some of their band music and orchestra music for the veterans. So that was nice. And this past week, on Friday and Saturday, our drama club performed its fall play, Radium Girls, which was an awesome production. I was unable to go, but all my friends told me it was quite the show, and I'm sure they're already hard at work planning out their winter musical. Speaking of the winter musical, we have our Winterfest auditions this upcoming Monday. So Winterfest, how it works is the band, orchestra, and chorus, they all perform. However, it's a 2-day event, and it takes up the whole night because students can audition to perform individual acts or group pieces. And basically, it's set up throughout the East Stage where the lights, the stage crew, they have people performing near the pit, near the odd, and everywhere, so that's always a great experience. And there's so many people trying out that they have to do audition only. That's just how many people are enthusiastic about Winterfest, so I urge all of you to come if you can make it. This Friday we have NISMA Senior High All-State at SUNY Fredonia, and next week on Friday, December 5th, we have NISMA Conference All-State at Rochester Convention Center. And students from East for band, orchestra, and chorus, they were all selected for these 2 band groups, and they'll be traveling there to perform. Williamsville East also had its Thanksgiving food drive, where we work with the Turkey Basket Project of Western New York, where we provide Thanksgiving dinners to 480 local families in Amherst and throughout Western New York. So how East does it, it's sort of like a class competition every year. And on the second floor in the main office, outside the main office, there's 4 big bins, and students can donate canned goods and supplies. And there's no pressure because it's like in a public area, so it's completely legal with the competition rules. And so whichever class year wins, they basically, you know, win like the competition. That's basically how they motivate people to donate for the Thanksgiving food drive. For the SIAC meeting this past week, I was personally in Group A, where we were discussing a district-wide event for this school year, and we were thinking about narrowing it down to a bake sale sometime before spring break. And what this bake sale would consist of, it would be a multi-day event where all 3 schools, East, North, South, they'd sell goods in the morning, and it would all be raising money for one specific charity, and the school that raises the most money, this isn't finalized yet, but they'd get to pick the charity most likely. And there would be other events to go along with this bake sale, such as a canned food drive that all like the elementary and the middle schools could also partake in. And they were also thinking about doing like a hot chocolate sale if it was the right time of the year. Stuco also is doing a clubhouse decoration event next week, Wednesday, so right before break starts. So how it works is every club, what they're allowed to do is they can sign up to build and decorate a clubhouse in the Commons, which is our cafeteria area. So everyone comes down, you get supplies, Stuco buys all the supplies, and you basically have fun, hang out with your friends, and just decorate like gingerbread houses. And then at the end, students get to vote on which ones are their favorite designs, and then Stuco gives out gift cards to the, you know, best designs. And I also conducted a survey through Stuco homeroom reps. I basically gave them open-ended questions. It was fully anonymous about just the overall school experience. And the time frame of the survey, it was after homecoming, just so that students would have a chance to settle down a bit and get used to the whole no phone experience. And some of the topics were about student experience, the school spirit weeks, cell phone bans, and school lunch. So of the 111 people who were able to answer the survey, I had 37 responses. So I'll just quickly go over the major takeaways I had from it. For the phone policies, some of the positives were that students noticed people were talking to each other more, they were paying better attention in class, they were conversing with their peers more. But the negatives were a lot of students complained about, specifically in 9th period, and anyone who was leaving early, they weren't able to contact their parents unless they were out of school. So the way East does it, you can't contact your parents unless you're like in like the gate waiting to go out, but they complained about the Wi-Fi issue. And you're not allowed to step outside of school and come back in until after 3 o'clock. So that was another issue. Difficulty contacting parents, they can do that. They also can do like quick communication with, you know, anyone outside of school. There's also no music through like their phones. And they also did notice certain students, you know, being like, I wouldn't say breaking the rules, but not necessarily following it to the full extent of placing it in their locker as it was intended. But the majority feeling was it improved focus, but just added inconvenience to the school day. As for school support, how the school has helped out the students through this transition, what students said was that the games, Chromebook carts, they were all great. However, they could use a couple more Chromebooks in the Commons, which there hasn't been any sort of like plan for yet. But all like the games, I know in the library we have like Mancala, chess, board games, like puzzles, those sorts of activities. And whenever I go up there, I personally do see kids playing with their friends, you know, just relaxing, not on their phone. The free breakfast and lunch program, it was widely appreciated for a lot of students. People were talking about how if they forgot to pack lunch, they appreciated being able to just go in, not having to worry about how much money was on their account, being able to just type in their code and get a free breakfast or lunch. But two of the biggest complaints were the quality of the food. Many people thought that the quality of the food had decreased and the reduced menu options. And another complaint was about the long lines due to the increased number of people wanting to, you know, take part in this free lunch and free breakfast program. So they complained that there'd be long lines and they'd have to spend like a lot of time waiting in the lines to get their lunch. So that was that. So basically students just wanted better tasting, faster lines. As for the transportation, I also had a question about that. So majority of the students who answered the survey, they did not take the bus. However, those who did take the bus did mention that they did have a bit of a farther walk than previous year, and it was sometimes unreasonable stops. But majority of the students didn't take the bus who answered my survey. As for Spirit Weeks, this has been like a discussion within our schools, but many students feel as though Spirit Weeks, they've been growing repetitive and a bit stale, I guess, because there's been so many Spirit Weeks throughout the school year that it's just been too much effort having to know which Spirit Week is happening this week and what to do for that. So students said that they enjoy them, but the themes feel a bit repetitive and the participation is low. So they thought that they wanted more like competitions, such as for Halloween, what we did was we had a photo booth and you could take photos with your friends for different like categories, such as like scariest costume, best like most creative or funniest costume, things like that. And they wanted like prizes and incentives, which they thought would improve the whole Spirit Week experience. And then for overall school improvements, people talked about adding heating in the music wings, allowing Chromebooks in the commons, the vending machines not working, which was another thing. And this wasn't a majority of the responses, but I did read a couple of responses about talking about school start times and whether or not the board would talk about the issue again. So that was just something they wanted me to ask the board.
Okay, thank you so much. Giselle.
Thank you. As student council and Alita mentioned earlier, for our November Be Good, Do Good, Go Spartans event, it's Operation Turkey, where each class has items they're asked to donate, and seniors get one government hour for a full Thanksgiving box, which is a certain amount of items that you can donate. And all these proceeds are given to local families in need, especially with some SNAP benefits being up for grabs. It's just hopefully to help people in need, but also to get the students more involved in caring for their community. NHS and Link Crew at the end of October had our Trunk or Treat community outreach event, and luckily the weather held up and we had a great event. We had a lot of games and activities. I helped out with a car, and we got to pass out candy. It was amazing to see a lot of students that were in, I believe, Casey, Heim, Maple East, Maple West, but also some kids that didn't even go to our district that wanted to come down and kind of hang out. So it was a great event. The North Drama Club on the 21st and 22nd of November is having their annual fall play called Arsenic and Old Lace. And if you could come out, I know they've been preparing for a while, and hopefully I'll be there. I was able to attend the ECASB Fortinet event, and they talked about cybersecurity and the protections, and how to identify cybersecurity attacks, how to resolve them, how to prevent them, and how to prepare students. And they actually provided us with this children's book called Cyber Safe, A Dog's Guide to Internet Safety. And they talked about how, I'm not a teacher, but how teachers and staff members can kind of employ this to their students, and going into our career paths, and as we're working with our schools, how we can ensure safety on the internet. But Williamsville actually has a lot of firewalls and preventions. We're not able to access Gmail as students. We're only communicating through voicemail, obviously. We can't receive outside emails. There's lots of firewalls and VPNs for certain websites. And this protects students, and there are less infractions that can occur. So it was very insightful, all the ways that we can prevent these cybersecurity attacks, and also the amazing job that Williamsville is doing to protect their students. At SIAC, we have a lot of developing ideas, and one of the ones that we're talking about at our December meeting is a potential Williamsville concert closet for students in elementary and middle schools, and some of the high schools like East and South, to receive concert clothing at this concert closet. So if they're unable to provide their own clothes for concerts, that other members of the community can donate these pieces of clothing, so they're well prepared for concerts and able to perform to the best of their ability. We also talked about potential of solar powering in the district, and hopefully as we go on, these will be addressed in future meetings. As far as sports, as we transition from fall sports to winter sports, I want to congratulate the volleyball for receiving section champs and making it to regionals, as well as field hockey receiving section champs and making it to regionals. And swimmer Sophie Kuzmersky is going on to states this weekend, so congratulations, Sophie. And Milia Kupchenko got 9th in the state for cross country and is going to Nike regionals to qualify for nationals. So congratulations, Milia. Similar to East, we are also having our club gingerbread house, where same thing. We're also decorating. Each club can have a few representatives decorate a gingerbread house and compete to see who has the best house. I'm not really sure what the prize will be, but student council is running this, and that'll be our Do Good, Be Good, Go Spartan event. So a lot of fun activities happening at North, and hopefully as the winter goes on, we'll have more.
Thank you.
So much, Giselle. DSP.
Hi, I'm
Representing South.
I'm going to start out with events. First, we had our Pink Week, where student government put up posters and sold pink accessories in the cafeteria for breast cancer awareness. And then we had our fall play called the Phantom Toll Booth. This year they took a bold approach, and they had the audience sit directly on the stage with the performers, and their response was immediate. All three of the shows were sold out immediately online within days. Yeah. And then Halloween this year really stood out. There weren't any major themes or incentives, but everybody participated, whether it was wearing full costumes or just a small gesture with like a themed shirt. And then we also had our trunk or treat, with high school students decorating the back of their trunks and representing, whether that was representing their clubs or they just wanted to do it. For elementary students, and elementary students also brought in stuff to donate for the food drive, which is currently happening. It's running till tomorrow, Wednesday, so I encourage people to donate. We also had two major performances, the fall chorus concert and the Spectrum concert, which is currently happening like right now at South. It brought South and Mill students together. What I thought about it, like, it's basically like more than music. It's middle schoolers seeing a glimpse of their future, and high schoolers like setting an example for them. We also had Red Ribbon Week, which returned with posters across the school. Awareness, I think, is easy to make. Oh wait, sorry. Awareness is easy to make, but like sustaining that message year to year, that's the real challenge, and we don't let it become a background noise. This past Monday, we also had a gym volleyball tournament. It's something students look forward to all fall. The best teams from each gym class compete, and throughout the day, students and staff stop by during their free periods to cheer them on, and it's just such a wonderful event, I believe. We also had a number of field trips this month. Many of them included like visiting college. One in particular was to Damon on World Kindness Day, where Stephen Henderson and Stephen Rosenthal were there to present. It focused on social justice and community building. I also had then the chance to go to the art field trip to the AKG Museum. My biggest takeaway from there wasn't a painting. It was the see-through glass doors. They're intentionally designed to represent equity, letting people on the outside see in and those inside see out. I felt it was saying like art is for everybody, not just for whoever can afford to walk through the doors. Moving on to the clubs, pickleball has officially taken over Thursday mornings thanks to Spanish clubs. And then the weightlifting club continues to grow its own culture of effort and consistency. Their monthly challenge right now is dead hang. It sounds simple until you try it. Really humbles you. French Club hosted a cheese tasting event and is also planning to have a chocolate dipped strawberry and marshmallow fondue event soon. It's exactly how you convince people to show up voluntarily. And then I also had the chance to spend some time with the GSA Club. For those who don't know what it means, is Gay Straight Alliance. They were incredibly welcoming, and we played board games and had some snacks. And they're also making plans to have an arts and craft day soon in library. And also tomorrow they're hosting a movie talk, which is interesting because it's connecting horror movies to the LGBTQ community. And another major thing happening soon is Connect Life Club is hosting a blood drive on December 5th. Then I'm going to move on to athletics. The big headline is girls varsity volleyball. They're headed to states. They won Far West Regionals on Saturday and had a fan bus of students made the trip wearing blue and carrying signs showing support and spirit. Also, the boys varsity volleyball took the Division II sectional championship. And then girls swim placed 6th in the relay, but one of the students, Bridget Riley, will be competing at states as she won 2 individual first place finishes. Also, the girls and the boys volleyball or soccer both made it to the sectional semifinals, and then South football made it to sectional semifinals too. And even though they didn't advance, they definitely are part of the conversation. And we will also be celebrating signing day for our students athletes soon. Around, I believe it's going to happen around the first week of December. And winter sports are also underway. I know tryouts are happening this week. And, it's adding more life to the building than the weather outside ever could. Yeah. Our trophies just got more stories to tell. But trophies aren't the point here. The people behind them are. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for ending on that positive note. Appreciate that. And like I said the last time, it is just amazing everything that is happening at all 3 of our high schools. So thank you all for sharing those events and accolades. Yes, DSP.
I didn't have this in my report, but I wanted to add, hearing feedback from Salil. I was on the phone committee, and it's called the Distraction-Free Zone Committee, actually. I like South, we already anticipated kids were gonna have trouble once they didn't have their phone. So the way we prepared is by having games in the cafeteria, especially, and our library was already fortunate enough to have Legos and other games in there already. I just thought our transition was pretty good, I would say, when it came to the cell phone ban.
Great. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
All right. Are we ready to move on? All right. We are on liaison assignments that are listed in board docs. And then item 6D, our policy committee met on November 10th and provided suggestion revisions for 4 policies. All of that is listed in board docs. Are there any questions or comments regarding those items? Okay, we are on ECSB and NYSBA items. Those are also in board docs. And are there any comments related to ECSB or NYSBA events recently? Ms. Poulin.
Yes, having had the opportunity to attend the NYSBA conference in New York City a couple of weeks ago now, there were some really interesting sessions that I was able to attend, some things that I just shared with Dr. Balin. One was on the junior seal of biliteracy, which I thought was a very interesting thing for us to start thinking about with our younger students, and some of them who are very fluent in more than one language, and being able to honor that. So lots of good takeaways from that.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any other comments, board members? Okay. We are now on item 6G, which is the Board Compensation Committee. As a recap, at our September meeting, our board approved seeking a legal opinion on board members receiving compensation for their service. And then at our October meeting, we approved a school board compensation committee to further investigate this topic. Tonight, we are looking to discuss and finalize the mission, membership, and responsibilities of this committee. Would someone like to begin that conversation?
Oh, I believe there's someone's asking for an amendment of the charter.
I had, so in our board docs, let me pull that up. Thank you, Mr. Manna. It was a proposed charter that I had suggested an amendment to, and why can't I find it? I'm sorry.
just while you're looking, so
I've
I
got
believe the last meeting, the board approved the charter, mission charter, and then we're going to begin choosing the people on the committee, which was going to take place at some point, somehow. And then I saw an amendment, I believe your amendment, so.
Right. Well, I don't think we actually ever officially approved the charter. We only approved the development of the committee, and then we added the item to our agenda. But on the charter, the mission, it says to render their opinion to the Board of Education on whether Board of Education members shall receive compensation for performance of duties. And my amendment is to add, if so, their preference regarding a legally available option for pursuing compensation and or the compensation amount. So I had suggested that amendment to the mission of your proposed charter. So are there any thoughts about that? Any board member?
Well, I'm just unclear. I thought there was only one legally available option.
We had discussed two potential options at the last meeting, I believe. The one option was going directly to a legislator to have an amendment, or I'm sorry, to have legislation added to provide only our district with compensation. That was one option, correct?
Yes.
And then the other option that we had discussed was doing it or attempting to do it through a NYSBA resolution, which after our last meeting, there was actually an article in the onboard that a similar resolution was proposed to NYSBA in 2022, and that motion failed by a large margin. So in other words, it doesn't seem like NYSBA would be supportive of this resolution should we choose to go that route.
Which brings me back to my original, like, we already know where that path leads, the NYSBA path, right? Which is, they're not going to support it. So why wouldn't we do what I am under the, I understand we created the charter and created the committee by a 7-2 vote. And I'm fine with amending it. I don't have a problem with it. But I don't see why we should eliminate the words where it says the amount, what the amount shall be, if any. You know, I think what the board's goal was to focus on what Williamsville stakeholders were saying and to say, okay, board, there is a legal way to do it through a legislation specific for Williamsville, and we would put together some committee to say, we think you should pursue this legislation, and here's the an amount we would recommend. Or this committee may say, we don't believe you deserve any kind of compensation and don't recommend that you pursue any legislation. So it would seem to me we'd want to stick, knowing that the NYSBA support / path is non-existent. I mean, I am for starting in Williamsville and seeing where it leads.
Any discussion? Dr. Spicer.
I think I'm just going to be repetitive to what you both just said, so I apologize for that. But I think you're both kind of saying the same thing in that one part of the edited language is pursuing compensation and or the compensation amount, and the previous language, what the amount, if any, shall be. To me, reads the same, just worded differently. So I feel like we can agree on that one. And then I would offer that, you know, it's now 2025, almost 2026, so why not have a committee look into both options? And if, you know, Vice President Manna, if the option of legislative approach is better, then the committee can decide that, as well as what is a good benchmark for compensation, if there is a benchmark for compensation.
I think add the original language and then add President Kazimierz Bogner's amendments. I don't see why the two have to like kind of compete. I mean, if they were,
It's not, that wasn't my intent, and like Dr. Spicer said, really my intent was only to add their preference regarding a legally available option. That was my intent.
Yeah, my point was just the compensation language. We can just choose which one we like better, but it says the same thing.
I would prefer just to keep the original language and then add your. I would like the committee to come back with, we recommend yes, and we recommend 1 cent, or whatever they want to recommend. So that way we have at least that committee's recommendation, and then they can decide, okay, you should do a NISBA route, or we should do specific legislation. Let's empower the committee with some direction.
So I'm still confused. So what I had proposed is only to add, if so, their preference regarding a legally available option.
A legally available option for pursuing compensation, comma, what the amount, comma, if any shall be, comma, to begin sooner or later than. That's what it should be.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. You struck that, though.
I struck that because I added and or the compensation amount.
You just wordsmithed it. That's what I'm saying.
You're way ahead of me then.
I'm confused.
But we all need to understand what it is that the mission of this committee is. So, can you repeat what your suggestion was?
Sure. My suggestion regarding specifically what?
The mission for the committee.
Let me get to your screen. To render their opinion to the Board of Education on whether the Board of Education members shall receive compensation for performance of duties. And if so, actually I would just, and the amount, what the amount shall be, and their preference regarding a legally available option for pursuing compensation. That way they have a definitive, amount or an idea or a path.
Mr. Buellin.
I am just confused as why we would need to amend what was already in there. I agree with my colleague over here, where I don't think that they essentially say the same thing.
Before the amendment that I suggested, it wasn't asking for their preference regarding a legal available option. And there's more than one option. So I added that wording so that we specifically have the committee look at all legally available options and come back with their recommendation. That's all that was all my only intent in that language change.
But I think it was kind of just in the original charter was kind of wrapped up in the ball that they would give a recommendation. And I kind of thought that'd be baked into, or that'd be part of the discussion of, should we be compensated, what the compensation should be, and what viable path is there. So you narrowed it down. Again, I would prefer to have the original and then yours added in, which I think is just more comprehensive, more clearer.
And that's fine. Okay. Any further discussion on that? We also need to come up with the membership for the committee, because we do not have any designated membership currently. How the members of this committee would be chosen.
Well, how would we go about choosing that? Is that allowed through emails or suggestions? Should we set it now? Should we say it's going to be 9 people from the general public, and we'll figure out if it's people from PTSA, or we do a lottery like we've done for other things? I suggest maybe 3 board members. I'd be happy to chair the committee if it's the board's will. Should we just add a number and then work backwards from there, or do you want to specify now what groups should be part of that committee?
Typically in a charter, you would have specifically the groups. So whether that be you're choosing 3 board members, however many from PTSA, however many from the general public by lottery.
Are those discussions allowed to be held via email without violating the open meetings law? Just to make a suggestion.
No,
Okay.
we would need to have those discussions, and I was under the assumptions we were having that discussion today.
Yeah, I'm willing to have it now.
Okay. Any thoughts, board members?
I'm going to suggest I'd be happy to be the chairman. 2 other board members who want to volunteer. I would like to have the PTSA choose 3 representatives, and then I would choose to have whatever another odd number, 5 people from the general public. I don't know what term you want to use.
3.
Yeah.
Are you saying the PTSA council or the PTSA?
I'm going to do 3 board members, 3 PTA council, and 3 members from the
Not, yeah, because PTSA would be every school.
Right.
So just like
PTA council, and then 3 members from the general public chosen via lottery.
I would just offer maybe having it be co-chaired, just to reduce any perception that there's a bias.
We could have all be named co-chairs. We just have 3 co-chairs, really. I mean, I'm not looking for any, pride of authorship here. I'm just saying I'll start the process.
Mm-hmm.
Can we take a vote on who would want to be on the committee, or we cannot?
Is this a committee that students will be into?
I don't see why. I'm all for elevating student voice, but for this, I don't see why. So just to recap, just so I'm clear, there will be 3 board members, 3 PTSA reps appointed by the PTSA council, and then 3 general members of the public, and we can set up, very similar to how we get other input, anyone that would like to, they can send an email in to the designated email address, and then we would do a randomized lottery to pick 3 people from that list. So that'd be a total of 9.
Okay, so it sounds like we have a plan for the mission and the committee composition. Is there any further discussion before we vote on moving this forward?
Just what board members will be on the board. I'm sorry.
Just one clarification. So this would mean the 9 board members and the 3 student members.
No,
Get compensated.
3, it was 3 board members.
Who are going to get compensated?
I'm sorry, say that again, Dr. Singh.
Be compensated. Is that what you're
I'm just going to make sure that the board members who would be compensated would be the 9 members?
Yeah.
And the student members?
No.
Okay, just check.
Okay, thank you.
They're nodding their head, yes.
Dr. Singh's trying to get y'all paid.
So how do we choose board members who want to be on this?
So by our policy, those can either be chosen, well, typically those are appointed by the board president, by our policy.
Okay.
But I would be more than welcome to hear if there are folks that are interested in being on that committee.
I would be interested in being on the committee.
I'd be interested, obviously.
I would be interested. No. All right, we have 3.
Okay.
So we have Dr. Spicer,
Quicker than I thought.
Mr. Manna, and Ms. Fletch. All right. So we have everything we need for the charter. We already agreed to approve the committee, or to move forward with the committee with these details. So are there any other details we need to discuss before we move on? I see our student board member saying no. We're done. Just joking.
No.
Okay. All right. So do we need, I don't think we need to make a formal motion because we already voted on forming the committee. So we do have the details figured out and the amendment to the mission and the committee members. So we will go ahead and move on. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
We are now on correspondence. Correspondence was received regarding Casey Middle School, South High School musical tickets in Boston, the Williamsville payroll, the 2026-27 school start date, school board compensation, and school bus stops. We are on our consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda items: 8 minutes, 9 personnel, 10 business and finance, 11 district facilities and support services, 12 exceptional education, special needs and student activities, and 13 other business as presented. Dr. Singh, Ms. Fletch, is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you to the following retirees for their service to the district: Claudine Izadorjak.
Check.
Say it.
Isadora check.
Isadorjak, thank you. Claudine Isadorchek, Heim Middle School, World Languages teacher with 32 years of service. Darlene Prouse, Casey Middle School teacher with 36 years of student service. Oh my goodness, I'm tongue-tied. And Audrey Amateur, Heim Elementary School, food service helper with 35 years of service. Congratulations to all, and thank you. We already approved item 14A, so we are now on item 14B. May I have a motion for the first reading review of policy updates 3271, solicitation of charitable donations, 3290, operation of motor-driven vehicles on district property, 6330, employee political activities, 7513, medication and personal care items, 7557 with a number change to 7540, suicide, and 7670, due process, selection and appointment of impartial hearing officers as presented. Ms. Poulin, Dr. Spicer, is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. May I have a motion to postpone these policy updates for the second reading and adoption at the December 9th meeting? Ms. Fletch, Mr. Bulin, any discussion? All in favor? Mr. Madam? All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. There are no matters to discuss under 15 instruction and 16 legislative matters. We are now on item 17A, Committee of the Whole. Spectator admissions was proposed as a topic for information and discussion. Ms. Fletch, would you like to address that?
Yeah, so I just had a question regarding football games, I guess, at the high schools and the admission and where that money goes, I guess.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that question. Our athletics director, our district-wide athletics director, Mr. Chris Michika, has confirmed that we do charge admission for our varsity football games, our home varsity football games, and our home varsity basketball games. That money is then put back into the general fund of the district, and a question came up before, is that money then only earmarked for athletics? And that is not the case. It goes into the general fund of the district.
Okay, so is this where I ask another question?
Sure.
About donate. I guess this came about because somebody wanted to know about donating. Can any of that money be donated to a charity, I guess? And how does that work?
Gift of taxpayer money.
That would be a gift of public funds. That cannot be
Then
done.
it would be a booster thing. They would
The boosters can definitely do that.
Right.
Okay.
They could do an additional one,
Mhm.
you know, to ask money for.
And the other question, the other question that came up was, could that money be used, as we heard all the amazing athletics happening over at our schools? It was asked at a PTSA meeting, could that money be used for a fan bus or to get students to a higher level game?
And that, so we don't earmark the money that comes in. It's general fund money. So if that is a request, that would have to go through the athletic director at that school, and then a decision will be made after that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions on this topic? Dr. Singh?
Well, not this topic.
Oh, okay. Do you have another topic for discussion?
No, I just had a question for Dr. Brownhall. Has there been any decision made on the calendar for next year?
The calendar for next year?
Yeah.
So the calendar for next year, what we do, just so that the public knows, we actually partner with our BOCES component districts. The JMT, which is a number of our BOCES components, they actually develop a shell of a calendar for the 26-27 school year. That work began in October. They are still working on it. And it's not a difficult part. One area of concern is that school will start later next year. Labor Day is the latest it could be, September 7th. So it looks like school will start September 8th. So they're actually developing a shell of a calendar with those parameters. Once we receive that, Assistant Superintendent Scanzuzo, along with District Clerk Carey, actually work our calendar realizing that we have additional culture and religious holidays, and then they set our calendar up based on that shell.
Because one of the questions I had at the PTA meeting was, we'll cut short our the holiday break in winter by 1 week because we're moving calendar back 1 week.
No, so we actually set those breaks depending on when the holiday that surrounds them falls. So we know for a fact that next year we will not have a 2-week winter break.
Okay. Thank you.
I had another topic.
Mr. Manna?
It's a previous topic. It's the compensation committee. I'm wondering, because we have actually an even number of non-board members, right? 3 general public, 3 PTSA. Would we consider adding a former board member, if willing to serve, to kind of make it an odd number, and maybe somebody can give a little different perspective?
I think we have an odd number because we had 3, 3, and 3.
Who's yeah, but we're not voting. 3 from general public, 3 from.
I see.
In case somebody wanted to advance something or take a vote.
Well, it's always just a recommendation. It's not a formal vote when it's a committee.
I'm fine. Just throw it out in case they maybe get their perspective. But I'm fine keeping it as it is.
Ms. Pullen?
To that, I think if there were former board members that would be interested as community members, they could certainly put themselves into that lottery.
Okay. Any other comments on this topic or any other topics to discuss under committee of the whole? DSP?
I think I just have a question.
Okay.
Doesn't our district provide buses to like every single kid? And not just like people like, oh, you're like not like in a certain radius.
Right.
You know how if you're too close, like you might not get a bus? I believe our district provides buses to everybody.
Correct. By state law, we do not need to provide buses. I believe, and now I'm going to forget the radius. I believe it's 1.5 miles for elementary and 3 miles for high school. Am I correct? I'm getting a yes. So yes, we do provide buses for folks that live under those radius guidelines by the state.
And Amherst, Clarence, and Sweet Home do not. They have a portion of their students who are mandated to walk.
Because they do not get, to that point, they do not get reimbursed or any reimbursable rate for those students that live within those guideline numbers.
I just thought I would bring it up as like parents complain that we can't provide door-to-door bus transportation. I believe that's a factor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Do I see something?
I just want to wish our community a very happy Thanksgiving.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Singh.
Because I would not have remembered that. Thanksgiving is next week.
Next week. Yes.
Okay. We're going to move on to item 18A, our second public expression. If anyone in the audience would like to speak at this time, please step up to the podium state your name. I do not see anyone in the audience who wants to step up to the podium, so this concludes our regular board meeting. The next scheduled regular board meeting is December 9th. There are motion to adjourn the regular board meeting. Dr. Spicer, Mr. Bulin, all in favor? All in favor? Sorry. Motion carried unanimously. Thank you and good night and happy Thanksgiving to our community.
Another